Hello and welcome to the Back of the Nest match review. Yay! As you can see, I'm here. Not Dr. He earlier on today he went to a secret location in Thornton Heath where he unlocked the cage he keeps me in, and it's sort of white space that he keeps for me to produce when he's not available, present when he's not available. And it's errors like that, which is why I've been pushed to the sidelines by the younger crowd. But there we go. I'm happy to be here. It was a really, really good match, and I am joined by Patrick O'Connor. Hello, Patrick.
Hambo, welcome back. I've missed you personally. I personally missed you. How you been?
And yeah, it's you and my mum who say things like that, and that's it. So it is appreciated. I've been all right. Yeah, there's been some.
Good.
It's been a really interesting week for me, which I won't bore people with. But everything was sort of my entire kind of life and existence was teetering on a knife edge, and it's all gone the right way. So I'm very happy. And then Palace win, and yeah, and that's even better. And what a performance today! In the end, a really, you're looking at that cup tie and thinking this is a proper full-blooded cup tie. London derby type atmosphere. Everything you kind of want in a quarter final. And yeah, thinking this could probably go one way or the other, and then just a switch of gear, a moment of magic or two, and the whole complexion of the game has just completely changed. And I'm going to let you speak, Patrick, but I just want to say I had that moment. I think you and I have talked about it many times over the last, God, what is it, over 15 years now of Back of the Nest / Homestead Radio. But I've said this a lot. I've watched Palace a long time, and a lot of time I'm thinking, watching the opposition when we're playing bigger teams, and I'm always thinking to myself, God, they just look so composed. They're always in the right place. Every 50-50 seems to go to them. They're getting all the decisions. How are they so well drilled? These players aren't that much better. And I start moaning at my team. And then I kind of thought through the course of this game, we're that team now. Watching, I can imagine how it felt as a Fulham fan today after they had a good opening spell to the game. But everything they tried to do, just somehow we were there. We anticipated. We got the rub of the green with a couple of interesting challenges from Wharton. And, things went our way when they needed to. But more than that, we were just so assured, so confident. And there's no other way of saying it. We were better. We looked a level above Fulham, who have had a fantastic season. And that was just so heartwarming just to think that I can't help but think we're now that team. And it's not just today. Think about it, how good our run is. 6 away games in a row won. Club record. Never done that in our existence. We are a different animal now, and that's my opening monologue. How about you, Patrick?
Yeah, I was lucky enough to be at the Fulham Palace away match with D and Louis, and this is a lot like that match. It really was. I love the way Glasner is so calm on the sidelines. No matter what's going on around him, he's very calm. And I know we didn't start the game great, but I'm so assured in a way that he sets us up, especially away from home, with the 3 centre backs playing so well. I thought Lerma was brilliant today. Wharton in there was really, really good. And yes, there were moments. I think earlier, it was not Munoz had a shot that went wide, but that aside, they really didn't bother us that much. And I remember saying to Louis that this game would change on a moment. And the Ebbs goal was that moment for me when he got that goal. And I really think, and I remember talking about him going on England duty and people saying he's not going to go. I thought that moment in England really helped his confidence a lot. I mean, he only has 2 goals this season, but that goal helped him. And it was, it was a kind of similar goal he scored today. But that goal, and then a minute or two later, the cross with his left foot for Sarr just kills off the game. But it was brilliant. And again, it's very unlike Palace to just go away and win 3-0. But that's not true anymore. That is Palace this year. It's been great. Glasner he's brilliant. He's fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, on Eze, obviously, this season has been a difficult one for him in a lot of ways, trying to find that sort of consistency in those moments of magic. And I think it just changes this sort of expectation as well. We're looking at him, and when he's not producing eye-catching moments, you start to look to, and I've talked about this last time I was on the show, those feels like years ago now, but those eye-catching moments, when they're not there, you start to look at the other bits that he's either doing or not doing. And he comes in for some pretty significant criticism And I don't think today you saw the general play was much different. I just think you saw the
Right.
moments and the confidence and
Yeah.
how he on his own can change a game. And that's why he's in there. And after the game, Mark Gay was interviewed with Eze, and they were sort of talking about it. And the interviewer kind of said, "Well, two moments of magic from this guy." And Mark Gay said, "Well, that's what we expect. That's what he's needed to do." And you can't say it fairer than that, really, can you? That's his job in the team, is to produce those moments. And Patrick, you are so right that it's all about confidence. Because when he's confident, he'll take people on and he'll make decisive passes. You know, how many times have we actually seen him put in a left-footed cross into the box? Very rarely.
Exactly. Outside of the right foot normally, right? From that side.
Yeah.
Exactly. But
But
yeah.
to have the confidence in his own ability, which he should have, and to have the game sort of, you can see the game ahead of him when he's confident. His head's up. He's not overthinking things. He instinctively knew. He delayed that pass, that cross in, and Sarr, who's been, a really impressive signing for Palace. Not tremendously consistent. Let's be fair. Every now and then, you don't notice he's playing, but
Right.
more often than not recently, he's playing because he's popping up with a goal or there's a moment of magic in there. And more than that, the criticism levelled at Sarr in the past, and particularly when his time at Watford, was didn't work hard enough, didn't have the heart, wasn't in it.
Yeah.
And he's clearing the ball off the line, and at a key moment, and
Yeah.
when Bassi has the chance. So, that we've just talked about two players there really, who've had mixed seasons and sometimes kind of mixed responses from fans, but they both showed their value in a tremendous way today. But it's hard not to look across the whole performance and just start talking about individuals. But you picked out Lerma there. You said Lerma had a good game, and for me, he could be an enigma, Lerma, can't he? He's like,
100%. Yeah.
sometimes you're just thinking, well, what is he doing today? Because he's just a couple of sideways passes here and there, but he's sort of jogging around, doesn't really look at it, and then he has a game like today, and you just think, what an outstanding player. And he was for me man of the match. I know Eze got it, and tremendous moments from him, but I thought Lerma was absolutely sensational. Tired a bit towards the end, but was still giving it all he had. And Patrick, if that goal had gone in, that shot, if that had gone in, that's one of the all-time best FA Cup goals.
Yeah. Funny enough, halftime I put a stat in our other group chat, the YouTube chat, and he actually was passing the ball, which is his biggest complaint by people, better than Wharton had the first half.
Mhm.
But just overall, I mean, looking at he had 4 out of 4 ground duels, 6 recoveries, blocked all the channels that they were trying to make those passes down the middle, was all over the place. And funny enough, prior to the game, and again in our other group chat. By the way, don't ever join a back of the next YouTube group chat. It will drive you nuts. With all the respect of us in that chat, it just people some of the comments just they're wild. But anyway, one of the comments was obviously Hughes was not playing, which again, huge factor, him being ill, him not playing. But I thought that as long as Wharton was in there to kind of dictate the play, get the ball into the final third, Lerma would do a good job. And you had to have a Lerma in there today. Lerma was so active. I thought Pereira was dangerous at times, but having him in there because Berg and Lukic are kind of the workhorse kind of players like Lerma is, but I thought that Lerma did such a great job. And you're right, that clearance off the line, underrated. Him and Saw, both of them clearing that Bassi chance off the line. And there were so many corners where he was making headers and clearing the ball. But I thought Lerma again. I'm still going to give man of the match personally to Ebbs because of the two plays. But if you gave it to Lerma, I'd have no issue with that because I thought Lerma was very, very good today.
Yeah. I'm seeing in the chat a few comments, a couple of people talking about how good Mitchell was today, and it's just funny. We talked, I know, not just myself, but many times on this show, talked about the benefits of competition,
Yeah,
and having to work for your place, and it's not about sort of the conscious psychology of it. It's about the kind of unconscious psychology. Mitchell won't feel that he's probably working any harder or concentrating any more, or performing any better, but I know that on that unconscious level, knowing that there's somebody, particularly an England international, on pretty good money, who's sitting there vying for your position, it's really taken his game to a better level, and he's back to that back to that kind of standard where you look at him and say, yeah, he could be challenging. If England want to play with an out-and-out left back, Mitchell will be challenging for that, even though he is playing left wing back. It's just that bit going forward that he still needs to work on at times. But today, he was really confident on the ball. That the pass inside to Ebbs was
The Ebbs for the goal, yeah.
Looks simple.
Underrated.
Looks so simple, doesn't it? It's an assist,
Yep.
and rightly so, because it's the timing of it. He could have played it earlier. He could have played it later. He just paused, waited for the right moment for Ebbs to be in the right spot. And you look at that, again, I don't know how much of that is conscious, but when Eze picks up the ball, it's kind of that perfect distance for the defender not to know, do I need to sort of jump in here and get a foot in for the pass, or do I stand off or whatever? And it just caught that perfect moment. And as I knew, you can see, I've watched so many replays of it now, but you see it in his eyes when he picks the ball up. He's like, right, pictures in my head. This is what's happening. And, the expression on his face as he gets round the defender, and he's just like, he already knows. He's like, I've got my space. He's almost already grinning. And he's just this little, and his eyes light up and he has a little look up at the goal, and then it's focus on the ball. And that's all it is. He knows where the goal is, focus on the ball, hits it properly. So good. And like you say, I understand Ebbs getting it for those two moments. And but if you don't have a Lerma in there, you don't get those opportunities. You're so right.
Facts. You know what? And the funny thing is, Ebbs all season has had those opportunities like today, but a lot of times it's gone just wide or it's been blocked. So it's so great to have him because that is a great shot. I mean, you can't put it anywhere else to beat Leno. He puts it in a perfect spot. It's a really good, well-placed shot. And it's not like it's from 8 yards. It's from at least 18 yards that way. So it's a great shot, well-placed. But again, I'm a big moments person. Again, I mentioned that to Louis. I just think that when you're in such a big match, and again, Lerma was brilliant today. If you don't have that moment from Ebbs, it's a different game. If you go in at 0-0, let's just say, he doesn't have, who knows what happens, because again, Fulham had Smith Rowe to come off the bench, didn't do much, but they had that opportunity. They had Adama come off the bench. They had Jimenez. They had a lot of artillery to come off. So, and luckily they came on at 2-0 and not at 0-0. But at 0-0, it's a different game. So yeah, but I just thought that Ebbs again, I'm happy for him. Again, you're right. He takes a lot of stick from our fan base. I get it. We want more. Reminds me of Wolf, by the way, as far as the stick that he takes. But I think he's such a mercurial talent. I love him. I'll always back him. So
it's interesting, isn't it, when you have players with game-changing, incredible talent? And when if you stop for a moment and you watch football neutrally, you just watch two teams you don't care about,
right? Yeah,
and you're just watching players playing football. You don't have an expectation that those players are going to do that exact thing for 90 minutes. Because guess what? They don't score 400 goals a season. They don't score every shot they take. They don't make every pass perfectly. And it's just reality.
Exactly.
But when it's your team, you've got that emotion. You know what they're capable of. You're so right. It's all about it's Wilf. Wilf is that. He hasn't beaten three people in one move this week, so he's obviously
exactly.
Is he injured?
No good.
Is he? Yeah.
Rubbish.
So
rubbish.
Yeah. But I mean, again, that's the part of the fun of following football, and you don't have to be logical all the time. You can be emotional, and if it was all a logical game, it wouldn't have the kind of the drive that it has for people to care so much, frankly. So look, today was a really good game. There's a bit of mention in the chat there about Kamada setting up from Nketiah for the third.
What a great ball by Kamada.
Yeah.
And by the way, great finish by Eddie. To credit to him for that. So
I loved it. He's going to play it across, everything about his body language.
And then because I think he was far, right? So I was in the middle. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And he's just like, through your legs, keeper. And he's just like, yeah, okay, that's good. That's good. You like it. And look, it's your day. When Kamada, who's had a really tough start with Palace, a really hard season, when he comes off the bench and plays a blinding pass for Nketiah, and Nketiah's finishing without thinking about it, really. Just putting a really, really good finish in. And it's so tight to being offside, but it wasn't, Bassey's got caught, his shoulder's just that little bit too far forward. And, again, it's things going for you. And you get that when you work hard and you kind of match the physicality of your opposition, which we had to do today, and you change your game and adapt your game to what's happening in front of you, which we're so good at doing under Glasner. You make your own luck, and we got a little bit today, but we were just so deserving of that win.
Right. I don't want to jump ahead, but Nketiah's change in form could be really pivotal the rest of our season, because I'm thinking back again. I was lucky because I was there, but I remember the Villa match. Well, it was Villa game when he scored, obviously, in that the tap in from Mitchell. Then obviously I was at the Millwall game, he scored then, but he's starting to come on. And again, we're lucky that JP, who should we touch on him for a little bit. JP was back today, and he was kind of quiet, but there were moments I thought towards the game he grew into the game more, try to hold the ball more, and I definitely think that he'll be pivotal. But to see Nketiah sub for JP and come up with these big goals of late it's been great, because again he only had that one goal, the Arsenal goal, and now he's gotten, well, not sorry, he had the goal against I saw that goal too. He had the goal against QPR in the league. I've actually seen like 3 of his last like 4 goals in person, which is a bit mad.
That's weird.
I was at QPR early in the season. I was at Millwall and I was at Villa. I mean, I was home for Villa. So I've seen 3 of his 5 goals so far, which is mad. So and then JP today again. I mean, you could tell he was uncomfortable with that weird water polo hat on. But I watched the end of there was a little highlight at the end when he's screaming at the end about at the end of the game, going into the change room, and then Eddie comes on and says Wembley. But I'm so glad he's back. He's also, I mean, obviously major key to our team, but I'm so glad he's back today. But what are your thoughts on JP today?
I think you're really right to call that out. I was worried a little bit because I think again the psychological impact of something like that, and you've seen it over the years. The more football people have watched, the more they've seen things like that. Like Peter Cech wearing that sort of hat for most of his
Jimenez,
career.
remember Jimenez
as well. He's only recently sort of moved away from protection and stuff. And you wonder again, leading the line as a centre forward, you wonder how much it's in your head. And I think you can read too much into things, because I was thinking that first 20 minutes maybe it is in his mind and he's thinking, what happens if is my ear going to come off if I get a bit of a knock, that kind of a thing. And but I don't think it was. I just don't think it was. I just think it was the impact of a bit of time out. The 3 weeks that everybody had plus a bit more. And I think, as you say, he grew into the game. He grew in confidence and some really good hold-up play at times. I think a couple of times there were runs that he made where he could have been found a bit quicker and a bit easier.
Yeah.
He would have had a chance or two. So
yeah.
I think it was nice to see him back in there. But you're so right in that. I suppose if you look for the rest of the season, if you've got JP trying to get himself back to full JP-ness, is what I'm going to say. Oh, I've just said penis. Oh no. Anyway, let's move away from that. If you're trying to get him up to that level, you could do a lot worse than giving him 60, 65 minutes and then bringing on Nketiah, who's just hungry and getting more and more confident. And you want that. Strike partnerships are different now, aren't they? You want a strike partnership where one's playing at a time, and they are partnerships.
Right.
And
so different from what it used to be.
Yeah. So Eddie knows if he's starting, JP is going to come on at some point, and vice versa. And part of the work that the one starting does is running the defense ragged for 65, 70 minutes, and that will create opportunity for the guy coming on. That kind of stuff. It is a squad game, and because we've got this cup run, and it's so good to say that we're into the FA Cup semi-finals, but it adds games. We've had the Newcastle game moved, so at some point we're going to be playing a lot of games in quick succession.
And now, by the way, is that the Bournemouth game now that gets moved? The home game, is that they did 2 weeks from today?
I think you might be right there. Yeah.
So that would be wild. Maybe get them in this. Well, let me not jinx it. Maybe got them in the semi-final too. That'd be crazy. But let me not jinx that.
Well, one thing we can't do is jinx the fact that we're in the semi-finals. But
yes, exactly.
Yeah, but I can remember a semi-final against another team. I think that was a playoff semi-final that could be repeated, and we don't want to think too much about that at the moment. But
I want them in the final, but let me not say that out loud. People got mad at me when I said that. I'd love to play them in the final. Love to. I know it means a lot. First cup final win for one of us, obviously, but Brighton in the final would be unbelievable. I mean, the tension would be great, but imagine beating them in a final. That's something I would never ever forget. I mean, but anyway.
I just think back to when we did play them in the playoffs, and that I was emotionally dead for a very long time.
I get that part
I
too.
couldn't. I got completely and utterly overwhelmed, and I didn't know what to do for a very long period of time. Yeah, and so that was when it went well. If it went badly, I don't know how I'd cope.
Yeah.
But
Actually, I want to
nice.
one more player, Hambo. I want to. It's up here. Luke has a comment about. So let me hide that one. This one. Chris Richards. Now, when Chalobah left, I think all of us were obviously wondering what was going to happen. And my biggest problem with Chris Richards, not that he couldn't play for Chalobah, but he's a different player and he gets injured a lot. But what are your thoughts? I thought Richards was really good today. Really good today.
So I think he is, in terms of the centre backs, he's the best in the air that we have.
Oh yeah.
I think quite comfortably. And there was a point in the game, I think Ali McCoy's picked up on it as well, where I think he won 5 headers out of 5 crosses.
Consecutively. Yeah.
And I think that says a lot about him, you know. I think he stayed fit, hasn't he? He stayed fit for a long time.
Big for him to stay fit. Yeah.
He was out of the squad, not a squad, out of the team when Chalobah was here, and we started playing well. We got stability. So I just seen that comment.
And that's great, man.
And I think he could. I think he could be rightly aggrieved in that situation, right? I don't think he'd done much wrong.
I agree. Yeah.
To be replaced by somebody,
yeah.
Even though Chalobah was excellent for us and got some goals, but seeing him today, you're not bothered, are you? Like when Chelsea called Chalobah back, you're like, oh, that's awful.
Exactly.
You know, Riyad's injured for the season.
Riyad's injured, right? Exactly.
You know, and you're like,
and we have no backup just in case. Yeah.
And then, but then you see him come into the team and just grow each week. And again, I think Gay said at the end of the game as well. He talked about the fact that squad is full of leaders. They're all leaders on the pitch, and Richards is that as well. Sometimes it's a quiet leader, and he's there by his performance.
Yeah.
And sometimes he's organising as well. And I think it's just, you know, I look at Lacroix coming in, and he must be absolutely overwhelmed with joy about the fact that he's sitting there and he's the pivot he's got Gay one side and he's got Richards the other side, and he's like, these guys make it easy for me. That's why he goes wandering sometimes and just goes to get more involved and goes to spread passes around, because that unit of 3 it's the understanding is getting scary there now. We're so hard to score against, and yet we make mistakes. We can get caught out. You know, we can still get exposed out wide when people double up or make runs as we're moving forward. And it's sometimes hard for people to get across depending on the team selection. Midfield's key in there. When Lerma's in there, he's quite good at dropping into those sort of wider defensive areas to cover gaps, but we can get pulled around a little bit. So we are, you know, susceptible. But because you've got the 3 in there in the middle, when people get in down wide, it's not as scary as it used to be anymore. Right. You know, and then the set pieces, it's all just come together there. We were so, again, susceptible for corners, free kicks. We weren't doing anything really ourselves, and that's just slowly through repetition and drilling. That's just got fixed, and I'm confident now.
Yeah. You know, Richards today, a lot of times he would step into the midfield to cover Pereira, which I think was massive to do that because Pereira is a very creative player. But you're right, on set pieces, I mean, I'll look now, but I think they might have had 10, they had 12 corners today. And not at one point was I ever worried about them scoring. And they must have had about 7 or 8 attacking free kicks that either Sarr headed away, Mateta, Lacroix, Richards, Gahey. I mean, you're right, Hambo. Defensively on set pieces, which we all know was a massive issue for us worrying about teams, you know, scoring against us. We've been really good on them. And you're right. As a unit, those 3 have been brilliant. I remember the first time Lacroix played for us, it was the Leicester game, and he was on the left side of the 3. And I was in the main stand, and people complaining, why do we buy this guy? He's terrible. His first game, you know, against Leicester, his first game. And I said to myself, I'm pretty sure he plays on the right side because he's right-footed. He was trying to play a lot of balls left foot. And I'm also saying to myself, I'm pretty sure that if you put me in the middle, it'll be okay. And what does Glasner do if you, because he had him, obviously, he knows him very well as a player. He moves into the center, Richards on the left, Gahey on. Richard on the right, Gahey on the left, and it's just clicked amazingly. But you're right, man. What a trio they've been. They've been absolutely. And again, they're all different. Like Gahey is the more technical sound player. Lacroix is a guy you can't bully, and Richards is just a guy you can't get around as a defender. And they're different, but they're also so effective as a unit. It's been brilliant.
Yeah, no, we've got to enjoy this. It's when you're performing to the level we're performing. A lot of the chat in there is picking up on some of the commentary around you don't want to play Palace at the moment and things like that. And it's true because the run of results we're on and the performances they're so consistent and so good. And it's momentum as well. The momentum is incredible when you start building up a run of results like we have. It's really hard to kind of knock us off our perch. It is. And obviously, I'm not going to try and rain on anyone's parade by talking about at the end of the season, how do you keep this group together? That's another chat for later on. It's about taking what you have now, and what we have now is an incredible squad of really, really talented players. And there's players not even getting a kick of a ball at the moment who can come in and do a real proper job. There's not too many. It's not that long ago I looked at our bench and I was just like, oh.
Yeah.
There's people who can perform and at their very, very best, would have a good game in the Premier League. But there were too many on there who, at their average, if you like, you're worried about the impact they would have. And now, I just think it's a shame that there's not chances for more of them. We could almost put 2 teams out a week at times. But yeah, look, I'm exaggerating to some degree, and we all know that it's a long season and a couple of injuries here and there and things like that. This is why it's why you have a squad the size you do and why you put youth in, because people have to be ready. But I'm just so happy with what I'm seeing and so in awe of the recruitment of players that got a real. Again, think about the start of the season. People were very angry about the recruitment, and rightly so in terms of the timing, but in terms of the players, incredible job.
Again, the season was very choppy, obviously, with the players away on international duty and then selling, Anderson and Are You So Late, and then getting players in late. But no, the manager's done a great job of getting the players integrating them into the lineup. You're right, the depth is great. I mentioned that during the previous show. You've got Essay didn't come on today. You have Kamada, you've got Nketiah, you have France who got on today, Devaney, you got Kapora, he played U19, England side, hopefully sign a new contract soon. The depth is great. It's something Palace just never had, and it's young depth too. It's not like we have these older players, and not that there's anything wrong with that, because you want that veteran leadership. It's nice to have a younger core of players that can come on, like a Devaney, who's been an important sub for the entire season, getting important minutes. And it's great. Again, listen, I cannot believe how well we're playing, especially away from home. And again, it used to be when you go travel away from home. I remember a couple of seasons ago, D and Nick went to almost every away game on the Vieira, and they complained about we couldn't win an away game and get all those draws. And now look at us, you can't lose a game away from home. So different. Exactly. Yeah, and I know they're both at the game today, so good for them. I'm sure they appreciate the game today, so good for them. They're both there. So.
Yeah, again, I had a ton of friends who were there and sending lots of videos and pictures and making me very, very jealous. And I'm just waiting for the final, to be honest with you. It's just how I roll these days. Probably get a exec box or something.
Nice. I just dropped the link. If anyone wants to join us, it's been me and Hambo just kind of riffing, which is beautiful, by the way. But if you want to join us, I dropped the link is in the chat, and first person's already in there.
So wow! So, yeah, I've run out of steam, so go for it. Yeah,
let's go for it. Let's bring Henry on.
Come on,
Henry, welcome.
Yes, let's. How are we?
We're great.
I'm great too.
We're great.
I'm great too.
You didn't go today?
No, I tried really hard to get a ticket, but
okay,
I didn't do it. But yeah, just buzzing, really buzzing. Like, I think that was just. I want to use the word comprehensive to describe that performance, because I feel like we had a little bit of everything. We had defensive still. We had calmness on the ball. We didn't start the game great, which I think Mark Guehi alluded to in his interview. But the thing about this team is, I always trust that when we ride the storm, we have a goal in us. And like, I always feel like if we can, weather that period of pressure, absorb the pressure, we're really good on the counter-attack with Sarr, Ebbs, Nketiah, Wharton, who is outstanding. Like, what an instrumental player he is. Lerma in midfield, solid. But I want to give a special mention to Chris Richards and kind of eat a bit of humble pie myself, because I remember when Chalobah was recalled to Chelsea, and I did have a little bit of a meltdown. I have to admit, I panicked a lot. I was thinking, how are we going to cope? But this guy has really, really stepped up to the plate and delivered some. It's just like every single time there's a dangerous ball into the box, he's there. He's the first one to get his head on it and clear it. He leads by example, that guy. And he's just such a big player for us.
I was waiting for Patrick to jump in there, but yeah, it pretty much echoes the topic of conversation just a short while ago. It's so, again, it's rewarding in a lot of ways to kind of see players that you like do well, but it's almost more rewarding when you're eating that humble pie sometimes, I think, because you're just like, okay.
No, I'm happy to be wrong. Like,
exactly. We embrace being wrong. I mean, obviously it never happens to me, as Patrick knows, but when I see other people get things wrong, I can kind of empathise with them and how it must be enjoyable.
Yeah, no, must be tough.
All jokes aside, it's we can be wrong all the time, and we can also be really hasty in a moment. But I don't think one of the best things about being a Palace fan, I think, is that I think we're very rarely, especially at games, are we unsupportive. We might get on a stream like this and say stupid stuff and get angry, and sometimes we're right and sometimes we're wrong. We might go on a message board and say something, but put us at the ground, generally speaking, proper fans, they'll support everybody, and I know, and so we have to allow ourselves that we have these outlets for our frustrations, and we all do it. We all pick players sometimes, and we always see the things that annoy me, and everybody knows who mine are.
We all think we're experts, don't we? But the thing is that I think the true testament to this team is that, like, I mean, Fulham, they had. Am I right in saying they had most of the possession today, from what I saw? Right?
Only 71% of it.
Okay, 71%.
So we had an entire 29%.
But you know what was the difference?
Yeah.
What did they do with the ball?
The difference was they did not
use the ball as effectively as we did, right? And the thing is that, like, I never really felt too threatened with it. I mean, there was a couple of moments where I was really worried. The one when Muniz shot, and it went just wide
early in the game,
post, early in the match, and there was I think it was a corner, or at least it was a delivery into the box, and it was a little bit of a scramble in there, and Sarr just appeared out of nowhere and cleared the ball, and I just thought that just typifies this team. It's almost like we went 2-0 up, and we just looked so assured on the ball, like so composed, and it was almost like you get this air of confidence in the team where it's like, it's not like we just sit back and say, I'm not saying we just, parked the 2-0 and just try to sit with it. But there was almost a feeling of, well, go on then, break us down. Like, you can't break us down. We got Richards, we got Lacroix. I think something that they picked up on commentary today, because I had to watch the game on TV, which I was really jealous of everyone being there and not being there myself, but still, huge credit to the fans. What an atmosphere. But it was like on the ball and off the ball, like the way that we transition into different shapes. On the ball, we have 3 at the back. We can play out to our wing backs. We can play through midfield and start attacks that way. Off the ball, we can get players back so we become more solid as a back 5 if we need to. If we need to be in that shape to defend any attacks. I just love the tactical flexibility that Glasner has. He has that ability to adapt. Like this is the difference. That this is what is filling me with such confidence that this team can achieve things. I mean, I'm not going to fall into the trap of saying that we can win the FA Cup and we can go all the way, because I feel like if I say that, something will inevitably go wrong, and but it's just I've never been more optimistic as a. I mean, I know I've said that a few times, but genuinely,
Yeah,
like I've never felt this hopeful, because we have a manager whose track record suggests that, and his tactical nous is saying that we can do something here. And listen, I know that the competition is very open this year, and the same can be said about teams like Bournemouth and Aston Villa, and who else is left?
Man City.
Well,
the only one left.
not them. No.
Just
But it's just, I just love this team. Like, and it's Eddie Nketiah as well. I mean, didn't he? And also, right? And I'm sorry, maybe I don't want to talk too much, but Eddie Nketiah and Kamada, right? And this is something I wanted to illustrate, because I remember earlier in the season, and maybe I'm wrong for this, but I remember early in the season when I was seeing Kamada and Nketiah warming up and thinking, oh no, here we go. But now I'm actually calling for it. I'm watching the game and I'm saying, all right, yeah, let's. I'm thinking 70 odd minutes or something. Bring Nketiah on for JP, because JP's only just come back from that horrific incident. Take Wharton off, because although he's doing really well, he's got a yellow card, and put Kamada in. But it's an illustration of how far we've come, and our away record, is top of the top. Like, I don't think there is a more dangerous team away from home in the league. If you look at the form, our away form, since I think it's since October, if I'm not wrong, that we haven't lost away from home, and we haven't even conceded a goal.
The Forest game. The Forest
game, which I was at, and we haven't even conceded a goal in 2020. It's March, guys. It's nearly April. It's like 2 days away from April, and we haven't conceded a goal away from home.
I did see somebody say a very funny statistic about the fact that we have 100% win record and no goals conceded in this month, which is kind of cheeky considering the number of games played. But I just want to return, but it's still true today. I want to return to a point that you made about the sort of confidence you have in the team and the tactical nous. And it just occurred to me as you were saying that, I was thinking there's a cliche that I haven't heard for a long time as a Palace fan. One I've said many times, and one pretty much everybody would roll out every single week. And that is, we have no plan B. Remember that one? Remember that cliche everybody uses?
Oh yeah.
Remember that very well.
It feels weird. It feels weird to have said those words, because.
And you know what? I feel like Fulham didn't have a plan B today.
No.
Silva didn't know what to do. I was expecting more from I expected them to change something at half time and do a different approach. They didn't know what to do.
His plan B was to not play ESR, not play Jimenez, and play Muniz and Pereira. No, it was, and then not play Adama and play Willian. And if you notice, what he did was he had it will be played a lot more centrally than they're playing out wide. So he actually tried something different, but it didn't work.
Yeah,
He'd
it
been
didn't
better
work.
off trying the back three, which I think he tried against Brighton. It didn't work. But going back to that plan B comment, which I really love when people say, I remember beginning in the year, people say, oh, Glasner has no plan B. It's got to change the formation. But people don't understand the 3-4-2-1 is actually the most adaptable formation you can play as far as going to a plan B. Because you mentioned before, you can go to a back five. It easily becomes a 4-4 or a 4-4. 4-3-2-1 by just moving one of the wing backs into midfield. It's so funny, but people don't understand that formation is the most adaptable because there's always a plan B with that formation. So again, listen, he's a great manager, and I just love it. But got to run, Henry. We have both Alex and Tim in the chat. I don't want to leave them off for too long, but thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. Okay, we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, see you guys at Wembley.
Indeed.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, take care.
Take care.
We'll bring Alex on now. Alex, how are you?
Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. We're going to Wembley.
I mean, we
sera,
actually
sera.
are. Yeah.
Yes.
We are.
Yeah. So I felt like I would lead that. The atmosphere just came through so well, and I've heard other fans be louder than us in other games, and it was not the case today. All I could hear was the player songs. All I could hear was, "You've seen the palace, now fuck off." That song. Like, I love that one too. So it was just so much fun. After the first 25 minutes, of course, like the Muniz chants immediately, I'm just like, oh boy. But I was actually more nervous once the second half started because we had a decent sized lead to lose if something happened. But it was really good. It was a really good performance. I was interested, so I said this in the chat. I was interested in what Glasner did with Sarr and Eze today. I thought that they tucked in more and they played more defense than typically we do. And we pressed less than any other game I can remember in the recent. And it fed right into like what we want to do, which is, okay, you can have the ball, but have it in the places that we want you to have it, that type of thing. And just the second goal by Sarr. First off, fantastic by Eze to do that on his weak foot. Just basically reads Berg's right, and then he makes a really nice pass to Sarr. But what a run by Sarr. He sees the pocket. He does Bassi, who's a very good defender, and just beats him to the ball. Just wonderful. And just shows that, like, if we didn't have a good defense, that type of stuff would happen. This is the Premier League. That we have the quickest players. We have and I don't know how they do it, but they really have it down now. And it's amazing to watch. I can't believe that we still haven't conceded in 2025. I really can't. So, how you guys doing?
Yeah, really.
I'm not sure Bassie's that good of a defender, by the way. He got done
That's
by
fine.
Munoz in the first
That's
game.
fine.
He got done again today. I think he takes the ball out of the defense really well. He did a great job today of taking it out. He's
similar to Anderson, where he's more known for what he does on the other side of the ball. Sure, but yeah, I get that.
But yeah, I think that listen, love the enthusiasm first of all, because we're all feeling it, and honestly, it's really hard having my phone continuously blowing up with people who are like, I'm in the post-match pub. Look at just leave me alone. I didn't go, and I'm very angry about it. And,
well, if you were listening to the interviews, they were about 15 minutes after the game, and the fans were still singing songs and stuff. And I think that's, that's something that us in America don't really have that. Like, there's not like, hey, let's stay and be a community for another, like, especially away days. It seems like that's the case for fans in England. Yeah,
I think. And Patrick will tell you as well. That's why he spends every year talking about why he wants to win a cup and have a cup run, because 100%. It's not just that; it's your holiday away from a league where you're not trying to think about the big picture. You're just thinking about that day, and then you're just dreaming about the end. And you can enjoy that day no matter what.
And
until
it feels
obviously
so
until it
much
goes wrong.
different than 3 years
Yeah.
ago when like we were up against 3 buzzsaws. We had no chance. It felt like maybe like you're telling me there's a chance, whereas I think there's like 15-20% chance we can win this thing now. I really do.
I mean, it's names on the cup for us. That's it. It's ours. It's no
You've
doubt.
done it
There's
now.
no doubt
You've
in
done
my
it now.
mind.
No, you've
Well,
done
if
it.
Never wrong.
Nketiah and Kamada sealed the game today, then like it's possible. Who knows? Yeah. I got a few other things to say. I thought that like when it comes down to like the midfield and stuff like that, like I was really surprised by so Wharton I thought was a little rash today. Like I thought there was a tackle or two where once he was on a yellow card, I was starting to get nervous and things like that. And it's just like he's on such a pedestal that like when he has a game that isn't like brilliant, like it just stands out. And I thought that it was a really good sub. I thought that, not that Kamada was amazing or much better than him. I don't think he was, but I think it was the right sub to make, to leave Lerma out there. I thought that was really important. And I know that Wharton's coming back from an injury. That's probably why he did that. But I thought Lerma was absolutely fantastic today. And we've all been on his case for weeks now because of his passing. And other people had trouble passing today. I don't think he did. So kudos to him. Wharton, for instance, had a lot of trouble passing today.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he was always, like he does, looking for the forward pass all of the time. But I mean, obviously, we know Wharton has that quality, and he doesn't let it bother him.
His
but you're
his
right.
little turn though, his little turn when
that
he was
was
dribbling,
very-
that was incredible. Yeah.
But yeah, he can have. We're thinking about him having. I wouldn't say a bad game, but we're thinking about having not so good game. But he was still really, really, good. It's just
He's
you're
very
right.
important on
It's
the
just
defensive
standards
end. Yep.
that we set. But look, the early booking was a problem, and
Yeah, it
managing that afterwards.
Yeah.
And it's hard, and we forget his age and how little football he's played, and especially how little football he's played at the highest level as well, because he is so prodigiously talented. And he kind of just came into our squad and our team and just blew everybody away to the point of going to the Euros. But yes, I do. Sorry, I had a moment there.
Jason said that we only had 104 passes. That must be passes completed, because that's wicked low if it's not.
We didn't.
Holy
crap! It's very low. We didn't. Again, we were efficient, and I going a little bit back to Henry's point actually when he was talking about how we kind of were sort of professionally seeing the game out, and we did do that so well in the second half, didn't we? In terms of
yes,
we didn't. It wasn't like we
cleared
weren't time wasting, but we were slowing everything down.
Yeah, and every single clearance, it felt like there really wasn't a pass that was on, and we're just trying to get it away. And each time, like they're crossing, like you could say that it was shit, and maybe it was, but the way that we were clearing it was not like, I think it was above average for any team. Just the way that we were able to. And Richards, I can understand why people are saying man of the match. I think that's really unfair to Eze and Sar, but yeah, he was up there, and I think Lerma was up there. I thought those were the 4 standouts today. And Henderson had to do hardly anything. Yep, it was amazing. Once the third goal went in, I lost all my nervousness though. I was 100% sure we were gonna win, and I was just pissed if we didn't keep the clean sheet because I thought Fulham wasn't good for a goal most of the game. The great clearance by Sar on like what would have been a bunny for Bassi if he's not there, but that was the only time I was scared that they were going to score. Outside of the first 2 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, which is quite a hard thing to kind of contend with, especially the longer your history with Palace, the weirder that is, I have to say. But
yeah,
I thought, I think again having a team that sees the game out confidently. I mean, everybody knows it. These are still, it's more cliches really, but at half time, you got the pundits saying, well, the next goal is crucial. Of course it is, but
The
it's not the
pundits were
point.
terrible in America, by the way.
Well, were they?
Well, first off, Craig Burley should never do a game. Personally, like
Oh, God, yeah.
I enjoy him for a soundbite, but I thought his analysis of the game was fairly terrible. Basically calling out our second goal for not picking up the SAR runner, which okay, it happens, dude. Calm down. Like basically saying it's terrible when there's a lot of really good things that happen in that second goal. Like as a keeping the ball in, as a like reading that Burge is trying to keep him off his dominant foot so he gets a quick cross in on his left. Like there's a lot there that we deserved. And he was just like, nope, terrible goal. It's just like, what? What the fuck? Okay, I need to stop swearing. But what am I watching here? It's like I'm listening to that Gary Goebbels or whatever the hell his name is.
Gary
He's the worst.
Bertels. Is he
Bertels.
still? Oh wow.
I don't know if he's still
Ex-Brighton,
doing
by the
games,
way.
but
Oof.
oh Jesus. Okay.
Yeah, that says it
Yeah.
all. Yeah, listen, pundits aren't always. Some of them are there just for the reaction that they create, aren't they? Let's face it. And George Burley's son Craig, as he should always be referred to, is one of those. But yeah, as I say, it did feel. It felt odd not to be worried, to be honest with you. And yes, the next goal is crucial, but the professionalism to make sure that we weren't going to concede, because cup football is all about momentum, and it's all about that kind of panic seeping in, because you can throw caution to the wind. If Fulham got a goal back at any point in that half, it becomes so much more likely that they get a second, because they can just go.
Well,
it's the end of the game. It's the end of the game,
So that second goal, like another thing that's like clear to me is that like the way that we defended, it was we were allowing them to make crosses and stuff when they were like more central and things like that. Anytime that they tried to beat us to the byline and get the crossing kind of like the way Eze does, we got the block in, we got the corner, and we're not scared of corners too, which is kind of nice. I mean, like I thought our defending on them was very good, and that the Fulham, the one that they almost scored was almost just like a comedy of like, how did it even get to Bassi to begin with? But I thought our defense was great, and that Mitchell knows how to do that so well, to basically guide somebody to the byline and block it, and he did it a few times today, which not everyone does. Like, because if you let them pass from there, you're in bad. So that was really well done, I thought.
Yeah, we touched on the corners a little bit earlier. When Patrick said they had 12, I've wondered if I'd had a stroke or something, because I don't remember any of them really.
Well, the only one that was scary was that obvious one. Yeah. So
Good
really
times.
well done. I mean, really well done. And yeah, I think it is interesting that like what would have happened if well, okay, first off, you got to get them on and stuff like that, so I get it. But I just want to say one other thing, and this is to that Fulham guy Muniz. You are a loser, dude. You like the way that he cradled his head when Wharton like maybe pushed him a little bit in the back just to try to get the second yellow from Wharton, or at least get England to try to like give him a warning or something. It was embarrassing. And I love that Wharton just basically walked up to him and is like, you are a loser. So
yeah, you don't like to see that. Well called out. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so good job by everybody involved, and I'm excited for match day 34. I guess is when the semis are, so that's gonna come quick and fast, and I'm looking forward to it. Yeah,
nice one. Cheers, Alex.
All right, Alex, thanks, appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon. All right.
Yep. See you.
All right, take care.
2-6-3 passes, by the way, we had.
Yeah, I think that might have been passes in the
accurate passes was 180.
Yeah, accurate passes. Yeah, so let's get Tim on.
Yeah.
First, Tim, great job on the watch along today.
Thank you.
Enjoyed the part that I watched. I didn't watch all of it. I was kind of wrapped up in other things, but that was a great job. But your thoughts today? You know, if you watch the watch long, we know your thoughts. Okay.
Man, I mean, I'm a little bit drained because I needed that. No, I mean, fantastic. Thanks everybody who came to the watch along. By the way, we enjoyed that. It was early here in the Rockies. Like for the first 2 goals, like I was telling, like once it passes 7 a.m., then I can yell. Before it's 7 a.m., I can't yell. So I was like muting myself when the first 2 goals went in. But honestly, just a couple of quick things here. So pleased for Eddie and for Daichi. The combination on that 3rd goal, terrific. Absolutely terrific. Both of those guys really needed it. And I'm incredibly, really, I'm pleased for both of them, but I'm even more pleased for Eddie because he's really been working hard and he's been played out of position and it just hasn't gone for him yet. And I don't think that's his fault. He's had some, he has had some moments that haven't gone his way, but the man has been fighting for the shirt. He's been fighting to get in the squad. He's been doing, I think, everything that Glasner has been asking him to do. And so when a player like that gets their reward, I'm just over the moon for them. I'm really, really happy for Eddie. Fantastic. Just loved it. I agree with you both. The comments on Lerma. What a game. What a game Jefferson Lerma had. He was outstanding. He was everywhere. He's winning balls in the air. He's just a terrific player. He has bad moments. And when he has bad moments, it's just because he's spraying the ball and giving it away in simple passes. Didn't do that today. Obviously, that was very noticeable, but he gets stuck in, and he, particularly in that last half hour where he was exhausted, but he was putting his body between Fulham players and the ball and winning fouls. He was doing Jordan Ayew work, doing God's work, and I love it. And I love it. Like that is what we need. We do need players like that sometimes. On Wharton, his quality is obvious. He had some quality moments. I read a story this week where apparently Palace has said, look, don't even talk to us unless it's 100 million pounds. And I hope that's right. Who knows if that's right or not. It is very obvious that he's going to, at least to me, that he will benefit from a couple more seasons under this manager. Because the difference in this match is I thought he was good and I thought he had some very good moments, but it's clear that he needs to add maturity to his game. He doesn't need quality. The man's got bags of talent and bags of quality, but a little bit of maturity, a little bit more discipline in some areas, and he will be a verifiable Champions League player without doubt. Without doubt.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think it's interesting when, do you know what? There's today having like the yellow card after 14 minutes and having to cope with that, and having that little bit of a rush of blood to the head a couple of times that really did put him at risk. There's part of me that's so happy to see it because
agreed.
When you look at how he came into the side, it's just he's like calmness personified. It's like he was a robot, and who'd been programmed to come and sort of be a deep lying playmaker at Crystal Palace, and you're just like, wow, okay, this guy is ready made. He doesn't need to change anything. So seeing that there's a little bit for him to work on in terms of just those moments where you need to stay calm and focused and not putting yourself and your teammates at risk, definitely. But also, if I wanted to say one thing I'd like to see him add to his game that would take it to the level that it should get to, because he's already, I think John Dale Tomlinson, who used to manage him at Blackburn, said on the ball he is Champions League quality now.
Yes,
like
that
now
is right.
in the Championship. So
yes,
we know and I think I can see what he means, definitely. I would love him to add that steel, that kind of real determination and that fight. It's there. It's not like he's lacking in fight or anything like that. But when you think about some of the top level players who play central midfield, the kind of how hard they are to knock off the ball, but how hard they are winning it back, how
Mhm.
physical they are when they hold people off, and how
Absolutely.
they dig in when they need to dig in. And he has the capability to do all of that. But the more
Yep.
he does it, the more he practices it, and the more he shows the level today of kind of aggression, you kind of forgive the moments of madness at times.
No
But
question.
you've got to toe that line. You don't want to be sent off every week, but you also, when you got to mix it up, you got to mix it up, and he will get targeted. That's why I say this. He will get targeted, as
Yeah.
a player, especially a young player right now. We want him fit and ready every single game. And the opposition are going to look at him, go get a late challenge in, kick him when no one's looking. And take him out of the game, give him a dead leg, whatever it is, and he's got to be smart to that too.
Yeah,
You know what?
that's a great
You know
point.
what?
Go ahead, Patrick.
I actually liked a lot what I saw from him today. I don't have a problem with his quote unquote maturity level, because I thought the foul that he got called on was a cheap yellow card. I like the fact that he didn't shy away after that. I love the way that when Muniz tried to act like he got, things went
Yes.
right to Anderson, pushing Anderson, was
Yes,
arguing. I love that. I thought that
I
showed
did
a lot of
too.
maturity. I've
Yeah.
never seen Wharton actually in a game like be immature in the way that he makes a tackle, or even be close getting a red card. So I actually thought today's performance for him was really, really good. And again, there was that, and then again, I just think he brings the quality level as a number 6 that no one else in the team can do. There were a couple of passes they didn't come off. A couple of passes he tried to play today and did attack it there, which was so good. The Maradona, or was it a Cruyff turn?
Whatever it was. I know the turn you're talking about.
I think it's the Cruyff turn was so. I mean, he didn't have to
Yeah.
lose the ball at the end, but it was such a brilliant play. The kid's amazing. I mean, again,
Yeah,
I'd love to sit here and say, oh yeah, give him a couple of years on the glass, but we all know it's never going to happen.
Yeah, we'll
I mean,
try.
When he gets them, he'll be
I
brilliant.
would love to see it. The only thing I will say is all of those points are fair, but the reason I still maintain that he needs a little extra maturity is it wasn't just the yellow. I agree. It's nice to see him get full-blooded and into the challenges. That is important. That does matter, and that is very reminiscent of Yuzi. And that is important. So I fully agree with you on this. But what did happen, I saw on a couple of occasions, in addition to maybe getting a little rash in a couple of areas, he did rush some passes that he didn't need to rush. And when he did do that, he gave the ball away. But the man is so talented. He's so brilliant. And I agree. He makes such a difference. And he made a difference today. He was superb. I like him a lot. But it is nice to see that even a player of that quality, he can still improve. That is terrifying, by the way.
Yeah.
A player of that quality
That's a great point.
can still improve. But I want to give a quick shout out to Chris Richards. My goodness, man. I mean, didn't have a great international break. The U.S. was terrible during the international break. They were horrible. But boy, Chris comes home and has a phenomenal game. He was outstanding. I thought he was excellent. He is really. I know nobody in the pundit class is really talking about it because they're talking about Forest, they're talking about Arsenal. But let's be real. This back three is one of the best. It's one of the best back lines in the league. Period. I mean, I'll take our back line. You can have whoever you want to have. I'll take our back three. They are incredible. They're playing incredible. And I thought Mitchell was excellent today. He does get beat once towards the end of the game, but Mitchell had an excellent game. I thought he was terrific. All of the things that you guys have already said. I thought the way he controlled that pass to set it up for Ebbs, underrated.
Oh,
I mean,
yep.
Ebbs gets all the credit there, but the control on that pass and just to observe, see what he's got, deliver it to Ebbs, superb. Absolutely. That's underrated. That was very, very good by Ty there. And the last thing I'll just say is Muniz gets the turn once early on in the game. He's a strong player. And the game that they were trying to play is pass through the middle, get it to Muniz, and let him turn. Lacroix didn't let him turn. Didn't let him turn. Played him exceptionally well, I thought. And that has been the story of Max Lacroix this season. He has been exceptional in that regard. He has handled most center forwards very well, and he did it again today. Superb player.
Been brilliant. I'm sorry, I'm so distracted because there's been a lot of chat over what that turn is called. There's been a
It's a Maradona.
Was it a Maradona turn?
I watched it again. It's a Maradona turn for sure. Or Zidane. Maradona was before, predates Zidane, so I can't give Zidane credit for a move that.
All I know is it was brilliant, Patrick. It was brilliant.
Yeah. I'm sorry, guys. I've always known it as the Hambling turn, so I don't know.
There you go, the Hambo.
I think I did it first. So
nice. Nice. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. Well, look, let me let you get to Patrick, because this was, what a performance. I'm so happy for this team. I think this team is, we all have our favorites, different seasons, different teams. This is one of my favorites that I have ever watched as a Palace side. They are fun to watch. They're very together. They exude confidence. They back each other. It's a fun team to watch, and I never want to forget that. Just enjoy the fact that this is a Palace side that's playing together about as well as I've seen a Palace side play, and that's a great statement. I think I'm loving that. I'm loving that.
Team, appreciate what you did today. Thanks for the watch along. We'll catch up with
absolutely. You all right, take care. Up the Palace. Bye-bye. See you guys.
That's what.
We'll end with my namesake. Patrick, welcome.
Yeah, guys, we're going to Wembley. I mean, it's just terrific performance. I mean, even the worst player I thought today was Wharton, and he still played decent. I mean, I didn't care if he got a yellow card. I mean, I'm all for my midfielders taking somebody's knees out if you get beat. I mean, I'm not going to stay on here too long. You guys have been on a while, but I mean, it all starts with the manager. He makes more times than not. He makes everybody better. I was sitting here while I was waiting where you guys were talking to Tim and a couple other people, sitting here watching Bayern Munich, just looking at Elise and the short time that Glasner had with him. And he hasn't missed a beat for Bayern Munich. But nonetheless, so to me, the game came down to just matching Fulham's physicality. I thought the first 15, 20 minutes, Fulham was on top of them. Not so much because they were doing anything particularly great. They were just more physical. But once we matched their physicality, it actually just kind of flipped. And Fulham didn't have any answers, like nothing. And I'm really surprised Silva got out coached by that much. He's a good coach. But then when you really look at Fulham for a minute, you look at their team, they really got a lot of retreads. Your Iwobi's, your Jimenez's, your Emmett Smith-Rowe's. I mean, there's a lot of former Arsenal guys that didn't make it there. We're just a better team. And I think by the end of the year, I think not only we'll catch them, we'll pass them in the standings. I think we're a better team. We got a better coach. And it showed, because now that's 2 out of 3 now. We've beaten them. I don't want to say dominated, but outplayed them the last 2 games. And the game we lost to Fulham at home, we were so banged up. Patrick was playing out there. So, I think it's a well-deserved victory, and I don't really care who we play next. I don't want to see a Brighton final because that means Brighton gets there. But other than that, I don't care who we play.
I have a question. Cool. You made the point, and a lot of people made the same comment today about. And listen, I rate Glasner as a manager, but do you really think Silva got out coached today, or do you think that Palace is just a better team today as a team? Because I don't think every time you lose a game, it's because you get out coached. You know what I mean? As a former coach, I coached along. It's not always come down to the coach. I'm not saying it did. I'm just saying today, I'm not sure. Again, I think Silva tried something different today. He clearly tried with the 3 players that he tried that didn't play in the first match, putting Iwobi more central. A lot of times they would try and they doubled up on Ebbs. Ebbs was so quiet the first half, they doubled him up the whole game. I don't know if he got out coach. I just think that we just played better, and I think that, again, I mentioned it before you came on, Pat. I think the moments, the Ebbs goal changes the entire climax of that game. That goal was so big. To score that goal in that moment, if we don't get that goal, I'm not sure if we get the second goal, and I'm not sure we don't go in at 0-0 and at 0-0, and then he has ESR to come on at 0-0. It's a different game, but I'm not saying I'm disagreeing. I'm just saying if everybody come down to the coaching, I'm not sure about a coach. I just think that today we just came up with the moments at the right time, but I don't know.
I think the moment I actually think the game turned a little bit before that. I think that shot from Lerma that hit the post.
The Lerma, yes, the Lerma shot was big.
That seemed to rattle Fulham, and they dropped a little deeper afterwards. And I want to give credit to Ebbs. I've been on him a lot this year, and I probably will continue to be. But he seems this year he's a moments player as opposed to just that lack of consistency. But I will say this, and the stats do back this up. The last 2 years, last 10, 12 games of the season is when he really comes through. I mean, he really just his stats light up where he gets on a roll where he'll get 4 or 5 goals and a few assists. And at the end of the year, you're looking at 10 goals and X amount of assists. And now here we are in the last 10 Premier League games and a couple in the FA Cup. And he's going to, I wouldn't surprise me if he gets on another one of his hot runs and go through. I mean, it's just a terrific team performance. Lerma, another guy I've been on because there's not a bad pass he doesn't like. But today, good game. Passing, if he didn't hit the guy, he put the ball in the area but actually the Ebbs, I think it was at that second Ebbs goal where he puts it into an area, Ebbs catches it or runs it down, gets to and then has the pass to Sarr for the goal. It was just a good, complete team game today. And to be honest with you now, you look at the standings in the Premier League, you look at where we're at in the FA Cup. It's all there for them to play in Europe, whatever tournament they get to. I mean, I'd rather win the FA Cup and get to the Europa League, but the point of the matter is it's all right there for them. It's the teams that are ahead of us we're playing in the future, in the next few weeks. There's not a team we can't beat that's left in the FA Cup. This whole be afraid of City thing's a joke this year anyway. I just it's all there for them. I
think you're right. I mean, again, I've been hurt many times by Palace as Patrick.
Too many to count. Yeah.
We all know. Do you remember when we were there? Do you remember celebrating in the semi-final of the FA Cup together?
That was brilliant. Yeah, that was. I actually had that picture on my phone. I have a picture of you and me going crazy. Yeah,
it was my Facebook background for a while. But then we got hurt. So I'm always cautious, but I genuinely mean it. I think I agree with you, Patrick. It's there for us. There's nobody left to fear. I don't want to see Brighton. The same reasons as you. I don't want them getting to the final, so I don't want to play them in the final. I don't want them to get to the semi-final. Yeah, so absolutely.
Yeah, I'm not worried about playing Brighton. They leave so much room in the back. We'll counter them like we did last game.
I do think. I mean, again, returning to a little bit what you were discussing with Patrick, in the sense you're talking about who was out coached and who wasn't, and all that kind of stuff. It's a bit of a cop out, maybe, to say that there's a bit of truth in both sides there, because we certainly are a better team. And it occurs to me, even now as I was kind of talking, it occurs to me that maybe we should be a better team than Fulham, if you think about how long we've been in the Premier League and their particular journey. So maybe looking at Fulham and saying, we might do really well and overtake them. Well, maybe we should be past them. Maybe we're allowed to have those sort of expectations, and I'm just going to leave that there.
But you should anyway, because really the only reason they're ahead of us is because we got off to the bad start, injuries, and then some guys are being shipped out, some are coming in. We really never had a set team to begin the season. So,
and hopefully we learn.
Teams are going to fade while we're getting hot at the right time. I mean, that's the way I look at it.
But as long as the season doesn't end like it did last season, when we're absolutely on fire on a roll, and then there's no more games left to play and we have to start again, and that's the part. But before I get ahead of myself, let's go back to the kind of the out coaching aspect, because Patrick's right to say it's not all about the coach. Maybe we're the better side, but I do think what was really interesting today, and it's about whether or not you credit the managers for this or not, or whether you just accept that sometimes this happens. But half time is key, right? You've been it with a couple of goals if you're Marco Silva, and you've seen how Palace have played first half. You've seen what went well, and you've seen how it turned. And they're fine lines, aren't they? Sometimes there's a little bit of confidence. That half time is where you've got to be decisive, and you've got to make sure you come out second half and you're on it. If you're 2-0 down, it's a cup game. Silva changed no personnel at halftime.
Right.
And
Right.
I didn't see much of a tweak in the system. So in that sense, I would support your view that Silva was outcoached, because arguably he's trusted in the process that he's come up with. He's trusted in the game plan, and maybe he feels that it was 2 moments of magic. We're unlucky. We'll get there, guys. But they created so little after those early scares. They created so little that it is a failure of the manager to not change enough. And then by the time he throws the multiple subs on and the multiple, we've already slowed the game down. We've already got a rhythm going, and that concern that you would have if the intensity was high from the kickoff in second half, that's not there for us. So they've got to try and generate it when we've got the control and we've got the rhythm, and we don't even need the ball. That was it. We didn't need the ball. We just sat. We had our shape. Every time we got it, we tried to create something, and we ended up getting a goal through Nketiah through just being efficient and being, good, frankly. So
yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Silva's a good coach. I just look at Fulham's roster and look at ours, and I say, all right, I see names from other teams that some of them haven't done really that good. Some have. They got Jimenez on the cheap basically because, he wasn't the same player after that horrific head injury. I'm glad he's come around now, but we're just a better team. And there's no question in my mind if we would have had a settled off season in the summer window and had the full camp where he had everybody in there and the Euro. I mean, everybody can make excuses, but the point is, I think we would be ahead of Fulham. And really, there should be no reason why we can't pass them. I don't think.
I'd agree with that, and I think it's a great area to end on when we start to think. I think Glasner would agree with you that if we'd been set up from the very, very start, we'd be further up.
Yeah.
But what we have now, you're quite right. End of the season, people coming into form, great
It's right
momentum.
there.
The cup's there for us, and pushing further up the league is also there for us. Every game ahead of us is a game that we can win, and we believe that, and that's really, really important. So, Patrick,
I just have one last question. I'm sorry. So, looking at Europe in terms, Newcastle winning that League Cup, do you know how that would work now? Where we worst case scenario would eighth get us Europe?
Yeah, cool.
So they have to move. They have to move into the higher positions. Right now, they've qualified for the Conference League, which is 8th. So they have to move up into either a Champions League spot or a Europa League spot, and then it moves down one more spot. And then, of course, if let's say Arsenal win the Champions League and qualify for it, that gets another spot, goes down. So it really depends on how the other competitions go. Right now, everyone's saying probably top 10 will get Europe, but it really depends on how Villa doing the Champions League and Chelsea doing the Conference League and Man United and Spurs doing the Europa League. So it's a long way off. So right now, let's focus on the FA Cup. If we win the FA Cup, exactly.
And then we're there. Yeah.
Simple.
Fair play to you as well, Patrick, for remembering all the complications there. I watched like a 10-minute thing on it and I got a headache and I've never thought about it since. So
I've read and watched every scenario.
I'm trying to figure out which league is going to get that 5th Champions League spot, which is a joke in itself, but that's a conversation for another day.
It'll be England for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, guys. Lovely. Take care.
Matt,
enjoy
thank
your
you. Yeah, thanks. We appreciate it.
Cheers.
Take care.
That do, wouldn't
it?
bit longer than I planned.
20 minutes. All right.
Yeah. But it's always nice to bask in the glory of a win, and what better than to bask in the glory of a win that sends you to Wembley and gets you that step closer to that ever elusive trophy. Patrick, you said we must win a cup in your lifetime. I'm not saying you're old, but that's still a big challenge. But we're close. Massive. We're close, right?
Massive. We're close.
It's a big challenge for me, frankly. But yeah, we're looking good. We're looking like a team that's in there on merit. We haven't lucked out. We've worked hard. We've got better, and fingers crossed. So yeah.
So let me just end on this. Yeah, last thing. I flew over I just mentioned before, 2016 to watch both the Watford game and then the Man United final. I'm not going to come to the semi-final. I'm going to wait to the final because I have a feeling if I wait to the final, it'll be it'll be better. So just so you know, I'm not
Okay.
going to jinx it I'm going to wait to the final and come over the final. So hopefully that'll work. So
Yeah. So
great
I'll
game
blame
today.
you-
Really enjoyed it. So let's
Yeah.
onward and
Blame-
upwards. Up the
Blaming
palace.
you if we lose in December.
Exactly.
Just
You and Nav.
your
You and Nav
fault.
blaming me
Yeah,
for the
yeah,
lost
exactly.
enough.
Lovely. Thanks, everyone. Take care, all. Appreciate you joining us, and like, subscribe, all that other stuff that D says all the time. And yeah, see you soon.
Up the palace.